Hey, you made it. Come on in and join me. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. I'm super glad you're here. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button below so you can follow the adventure as it unfolds. And if you love this podcast, share it with your friends. You have the capacity to understand yourself, and that's through connecting with and understanding other people. So let's get to it. This week's topic was about going from being right to eager to learn. In the first video, I talked about when I felt like I was willing to be less right. In the next video, I talked about how I shifted from feeling less right to being willing to learn. And next, I focused on being eager to learn. Then we meditated, and in this video, that I lovingly call the Fridity, or the Friday Ditty, I'm going to share with you a parable about this week's topic, from being right to eager to learn, along with explaining what happened inside of me. So, here we go. Once there was a village where the people were divided and constantly arguing over who was right. They would fiercely defend their own perspectives, unable to see beyond their own beliefs. One day, a wise elder arrived in the village and called for a gathering. The elder spoke of the value of humility and the willingness to learn from others. The villagers listened intently as the elder shared stories of personal growth through being open-minded and embracing the perspective of others. Inspired by the elder's wisdom, the villagers began to shift their mindset. They started engaging in discussions with curiosity and openness, eager to learn from one another. As a result, the village prospered and conflicts diminished. The once divided village became known for its harmonious interactions and a strong sense of community. This parable teaches us the transformative power of shifting from being right to being eager to learn. It reminds us that embracing humility and open-mindedness can lead to personal growth and stronger, more fulfilling relationships with those around us. So, I grew up thinking that I was supposed to have all of the answers, and I truly believed that if I did enough research and adjusted for potential pitfalls, then everything would go to plan. And if I didn't think of it, then I didn't think of everything, which is why it didn't go right. Like, I had this idea that I had to think of everything. And I'm not certain where I learned that. I want to say family dynamics, things like that. It could have I just want to acknowledge that every single child grows up with different, what's the word I'm looking for? Personalities and, I just lost the word. Temperaments. And so it could have just been someone else in that same situation might have taken that as, oh, wow, this is really interesting. I've got to go look for this. But for whatever reason, I took it as, oh, I'm not good enough. I must be wrong, or, like I have no value. So I definitely think that was my, something that just happened, right? I think in the last month or so, someone brought up a quote that said something to the effect of, you can only count, you can make plans, but the only thing you can count on, you can plan on, is the unexpected. There's also a quote that is by Daniel Kahneman that I was reading The Psychology of Money by Morgan, I think it's Morgan Housel. And that link will be in the bio. But I love this quote because it reminds me that I don't have to be perfect. And in fact, things might be surprising. So, open quote. Whenever we are surprised by something, even if we admit we made a mistake, we say, oh, I'll never make that mistake again. But in fact, what you should learn when you make a mistake because you didn't anticipate something is that the world is difficult to anticipate. The correct lesson to learn from surprises. The world is surprising. And that's quoted in that book, and the quote is by Daniel Kahneman, who is also, I think he wrote Thinking Fast and Slow. He's big on the psychology realms. So one of the other things, as far as like being right, I also had this idea that I knew what was right for other people, it was so much easier to see what other people needed because I wasn't in their position than it was to see what I needed. And in fact, I keep a quote right next to me to remind me regularly that when I have the urge to give unrequested advice, basically stop. It's that advice is meant for me because I'm not on that other person's journey. And even if I were in that exact same scenario, how would I know what would be right until I got there? Our journeys are so very different. So, I have to admit, I was a super big fan of being right. And sometimes I'm still there. And I have to remember that the only person I can be right for is me. And that is a little humbling because then I get to take responsibility for my choices and I don't get to blame other people for what I choose to do. Now, if I take that advice and I do that, sometimes I could be like, oh, but you told me not. I really work at not doing that anymore. It's almost like having radical responsibility. So being right in relationships. So here's a tough one that took me a while to really understand. When I'm in a relationship with someone, be it my kids, my mom, anyone, my friends my friends outside of the family, when I'm right, then the other person has to be wrong. And I never really thought of it that way. Like, if I'm going to insist on being right, especially for what they think they need to do, then I'm telling them that their choices are wrong, that they are wrong as a human. And sometimes it's better, like I can give my thoughts and, if they ask for my advice or my opinion, I could give that to them. And then I need to let it go because that is their life. It is their journey. So I also internalize being wrong. I just thought I was wrong. So here I am on the other side of that. And I had this belief that if somebody didn't take my advice, if somebody didn't have my opinion, all of those things, that then I was wrong. And that as a human, and that is also not true. So what is it like? So what is it like to be eager to learn? So I think in relationships, when you can get to a point where you're eager to learn and you can let go of being right, well, this is just my experience. So when I was able to let go of being right and be eager to learn, I actually was better able to listen and to really hear what the other person was saying. Did I need to be right or could I learn about their perspective? Adam Grant talks about some character skills that help us stay eager to learn in his book, Think Again. Strive to keep learning. Become a creature of discomfort. Become a sponge. Become an imperfectionist. And I think that's really important. These things are really important to remember, at least for me. Now, there's another book, and I don't even remember why I picked up this book besides who would call a book failure. And I just probably was like, well, that sounds really interesting. So I loved reading that book. And one of the quotes that he points out, or one of the things he says, open quote, is expressing doubt and uncertainty should make a person trustworthy. Anyone who claims to know the truth because they are special or have a special connection to some authority no one can question, these are the people you want to be wary of, close quote. And I think that just goes to show me anyway that in order to be trustworthy in relationships, I also can't be right. I can't possibly know the truth for anyone else. It's impossible because if I know, like, capital the truth, then and there's no way to question the God, the universe, whatever. How could we can't even check that? We can't. It's impossible. So it's important because, the other thing is, not only can I not know what's best for someone else, they can't know what's best for me, right? And that's important because I want to point out that it's only you. Only you can know what's best for you. Just like the person you might be thinking about right now that could use this video, please do share it. And remember that it's up to them to get what they need from it. You may have one idea, and maybe that's exactly what you need. When I share information now or cool things, I try to remember that I gave it as a gift. And for me, when I give a gift, that person gets to decide what they're going to do with it. Once it's out of my hands, it's not mine anymore. And I don't get to judge that. So in this episode, I dove into the shift from being right to learning, a mental gift. I talked about a time I was eager to learn and all the lessons that I had to discern. I shared the challenges and the joys I found and why being eager to learn can be so profound. Like, share, comment below to let me know what topics you'd like me to explore next. Remember to subscribe to Me Making Sense of Myself for weekly doses of information and self-discovery. If you have a question, send it over. I'll answer it. Let's do this together. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.